Hello everyone. So in this tutorial video, you're going to learn the introduction about the orthographic projection of solids. So I hope all of you have done with the course of orthographic projection of plane surfaces. Before that, you had done points and lines. And now we are going to learn about the orthographic projection of solids. Now, before we start to solve the problems on the paper with manual construction and understanding the problem and the solution, it is desirable that you understand some of the introductory concepts which are related to solids. And later we will solve some problems which are related to your syllabus. So this is Alvin who is going to present this topic for you. First and foremost, some of the common solids what we will find that exist in our world are these. The solids in the sense it is not related to of irregular shapes. We are talking about solids which are of regular shapes. So some of the regular common solids what we'll come across are prisms, pyramids, cylinders and cones. So these are the four types of solids what we will come across, and even your syllabus for orthographic projection of solids in engineering graphics subject, you will come across these types of solids only. And it is more important that you remember each of these solids and the way in which they appear. So we have prism, pyramid, cylinders and cones. So first let us talk about square prism and understand some of the concepts and things that you need to know before we start solving the problem. This is going to be really helpful for you while you are solving the problem of a orthographic projection of solid. So when I say these things with respect to a square prism, the same is applicable even for a pentagon prism and a hexagon prism. Anyway, we do not go beyond 6 sides, that is, we do not solve heptagon or octagon, nanogon prisms. So we'll stop with hexagon prisms. So whatever we discuss here in square prism, same thing applies even for a pentagon and a hexagon prism. See now, this is a square prism and we see that there are some dotted lines which are drawn here. So remember, these dotted lines are the one which are hidden. Viewing it from this forward direction, you see that the square prism has the edges visible and the edges which are dotted are going to be edges which are hidden. If it is continuous solid line, then it is a visible edge. If you just think of a square prism and hold it in this angle, the hidden edges will change depending on the orientation of that particular prism. For this orientation of the prism what we see here in the picture, these are the three hidden edges what we will find. And these hidden edges not required that it should be of 3 numbers only, depending on the orientation, depending on the type of prism, whether it is pentagon or hexagon prism, and depending on how in what angle we are viewing it. Based on that, the hidden edges numbers will vary. So coming back to this diagram, for this orientation and for a square prism, you're going to have 3 hidden edges. Now let us talk more about what a prism actually contains or what a prism is made up of. A prism is basically made up of edges. Now these edges are not of a single type. These are going to be found in 3 types in a prism. So I'm going to explain each one of them one by one. Now here I have a tabular column where the type of prism what we have considered here is a square. And the first type of edges that we'll discuss is base edges. Concentrate only the base of the prism and the edges which are forming the base. So when we call it as a square prism, you must understand the base is made up of a square, as you see here. Though the sides do not look equal in this particular diagram because it is not oriented orthographically, this is at some other angle. But anyway, just understand that the base is made up of 4 edges. The first edge is A1, B1, and then we have B1, C1, and then we have C1, D1, and then we have D1, A1. Since the base is made up of a square, you will find 4 base edges as listed here. And as I mentioned already, the same thing will repeat for a pentagon and a hexagon prism. If it is a pentagon prism, we will have 5 base edges. If it is a hexagon prism, we are going to find 6 base edges. So that is all about the base edges. Now we have already discussed about the base edges. Let us see the next type of edges what we'll come across in a square prism. Type of prism is a square, and now we are going to see top edges. as we see in a prism, we have a top face as well. Like we found the base, exactly similar to that, we will also have the top face. Since I'm talking only of a regular prism, you're going to have the same length of what you find in the base. It will be the same mirror image on the top as well. So how do we name these top edges? We'll name these top edges with a different name, because the first thing what we discussed was base edges. We named it as A1, B1, C1, D1, and now since we are discussing about top edges, let us differentiate these top edges with a different name: AB, BC, CD, and DA. So once again, since it is a square prism, you're going to find 4 top edges. If it is a pentagon, you're going to find 5 top edges. If it is hexagon prism, you're going to find 6 top edges. That is the difference with respect to the different types of prism. Here we are talking about square prism, so you will find 4 top edges. So now we discussed of the square prism, base edges and top edges. Now there is another type of edges that will come across in the same square prism. So this square prism is made up of base edge, top edge, and the third type is called as longer edges. So what are these longer edges? We'll just have a look into it. A1, as you see here, this is called longer edge because this is the longest edge what you'll find in a prism. Whatever the base side and the top edge side you have, say if it is 30 millimeters, this edge which is vertical will be of a larger number, maybe 50 millimeters or 60 millimeters. Usually that is how we find for a square prism in your syllabus, and it is not mandated that it should be greater, it can be smaller as well. But if you refer to any problem in your syllabus in engineering graphics, we'll usually find the edge which is vertical will be the longest edge in that particular solid. So the first longer edge is A1, B1, C1, and D1. These are the 4 longer edges what we will find in a square prism. Just to refresh all the edges that we came across till now, a square prism is made up of base edges, top edges, and longer edges. And the names are already listed down here. And as I already mentioned, if it is a pentagon prism, it's going to be 5, 5, 5. If it is a hexagon prism, it's going to be 6 base edges, 6 top edges, and 6 longer edges. Now, we'll discuss more of those hexagon and pentagon prism when we solve the problems. Now, first and foremost thing that you remember before we start the problem is know what the prism is made up of. So the prism is made up of 3 types of edges: base edges, top edges, and longer edges. And remember to differentiate the base edge and top edge with different names. So here I have differentiated it by simply putting a subscript of 1 and 1 for base edges, and for top edges there is no subscript or superscript. So these are the edges what you will find in a square prism. So that is all about prism. So let us just see another type of solid also which we usually come across, that is called as pyramid. Now we'll find pyramid related to square shape, pentagon shape, and triangle shape as well, and even hexagon shape. Here we have a simple example of a square pyramid. Why it is called as a square pyramid? Because the base is made up of a square shape. And remember, the same thing will repeat for a pentagon and a hexagon pyramid. If the base is of the shape of a pentagon, we call it as pentagon pyramid. And if the base is of the shape of a hexagon, we call it as hexagonal pyramid. So let us look into the square pyramid now and understand what is this pyramid made up of. This pyramid is basically made up of base edges. As we saw in the prism as well, this is also going to have a base which is going to be made up of a square in case of a square pyramid. So these base edges are going to be AB, BC, CD, and DA. Remember, it is 4 base edges in a square pyramid. If it is a pentagon pyramid, you are going to find 5 base edges. And if it is a hexagon pyramid, 6 base edges. And if it is a triangular pyramid, you are going to find it 3 base edges for that particular pyramid. Now, unlike prism, you don't find any top face or top edges in a pyramid because the top of the pyramid is going to be a single point. So we don't find any top edges in a pyramid. In a prism you'll find top edge, in a pyramid you will not find any top edges, but the top is simply a single point. This single point is called as apex. So a pyramid will have an apex at the top, which is a single point. Let us represent that single point as O for our reference. The third part of a square pyramid is going to be called as slant edges. Unlike prism, you have longer edges. Here we have slant edges. Why it is called slant edges? Because these are the edges which are connecting from the apex to the base of the particular pyramid. From the apex to the base of the pyramid, whatever edge that is being connected will be called as slant edges. If you just look at the first slant edge, OA. So if you look at this OA, it is not going to be vertical as we saw in prism. It is going to be at some angle, or it is going to be slant. It is not straight. So we call these edges as slant edges. So the number of slant edges you will find in a square pyramid will be 4. So starting from OA, OB, OC and OD. These are the 4 slant edges you will find for a square pyramid. And this is going to repeat. In case of a pentagon pyramid you will have 5, in case of a hexagon pyramid you will have 6, and in case of a triangular pyramid you are going to have 3 slant edges. So just refreshing all of them, you are going to find 4 base edges AB, BC, CD and DA, and 4 slant edges OA, OB, OC and OD. These are the type of edges what you will find in a square pyramid. Do not forget the top is made up of a single point which is called as apex. So this is all about a square pyramid, and these are the things that are present in a square pyramid. And similarly you will find pentagonal prism and pyramid. So prism base and top base, you can see it is a pentagon, and pentagonal pyramid means you can see the base is made up of a pentagonal shape which is 5-sided polygon. And you will also have hexagonal prism and hexagonal pyramid. So prism means the base and top will be of the same shape, and pyramid means the top will be a single point which is apex. This is called hexagonal pyramid because the base is made up of a hexagonal shape, that is a 6-sided polygon. You will also find rectangular prism and rectangular pyramid. These are some bonus shapes which we will call it as cone, cylinder and sphere. Anyway, you do not solve any problem on sphere. We have very special case problems, that is 2 or 3 problems on cone and cylinder according to engineering graphics syllabus. So remember, cone means the base is going to be a circle and an apex will be there. Cylinder means the base will be a circle, the top will also be a circle of the same diameter as you find for the base. So that is about cone and cylinder. So you will learn more and more about it, how to draw it and project it once we start solving the problems. And thank you. So that completes the introduction of the orthographic projection of solids. These points, whatever we discuss now, keep it in your mind and remember it, because these are going to be really helpful for you and making you understand the solid projections in a much easier way. So let us start solving the problem from the next tutorial video, and remember to note down all these points of prism made up of base edge, top edge and longer edge, pyramid made up of base edge, apex and slant edges.